Hi, everyone. I am Sabrina Scott, the president of the Five Spheres of Fit, and I'm here with Noel Scott, the founder and creative director of the Five Spheres. Hi, Noel.
Hey Sabrina, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing fantastic. Super excited to be on a podcast with you and start talking about the five spheres.
Yes, same here. And many of you probably don't know that Noel and I are married. So we have seen each other all day. Um, but we still ask each other how we are through the day, which is part of our five spheres. So let's get to it, Noel. The five spheres of fit. You have lived by this lifestyle strategy for at least the last 10 years. What is it?
So Sabrina, you kind of just said it right there. The five spheres is essentially a lifestyle strategy, and our chief aim is to help people be the best versions of themselves that they can be. And we do this by ensuring that they're focusing on what we call the five spheres. And that, of course, is your physical sphere, your mental sphere, your financial sphere, your social sphere, and your educational sphere. And I believe that in your life, all of the things that you'll consider and deal with will fall into one of those five spheres, if not a couple.
And how did you create the five spheres of it? Was it a process over time? Did you wake up one day and said, I'm going to live by this strategy?
Well, as you know, I've had a pretty colorful upbringing, and certainly my road to professional success took many winding turns as you've been a part of that. And so I think for me, I was always interested in trying to figure out how could I organize the things that were happening in my life in such a way that I could find success. And I think growing up in a family where organization was critical to my father's success, my mother's success, I always sort of knew that that was going to be key for me to be successful. So when putting this together, it was maybe 10 years ago, I think now, Sabrina, maybe a little bit longer. And I think you may remember, uh, I remember talking to you about this concept. And I think at the time I talked about like patterning life behaviors and coming up with a strategy to be fit for life. And that was the beginnings of the five spheres. And that desire and that need for organization for my own benefit, for just subjectively for Noel to be his best version, I knew right away I had to do something. It just started to come to me because I had done so many things in my life at that point, and just knowing that I can organize them, but needing an organizational strategy that would work for me. That's where it came from. I was obviously, always been really active physically. I'm always thinking. I love writing. As many know, I'm very social. So this was like a very natural thing, I think.
Yeah. And you said you had about 10 years ago or a little bit more, you had done a lot at that point. So that helped. But you also had gone through a lot in your life. I know it was around that time that your mom passed away, and you were looking for some more balance in your life. So I think that was also part of the beginning of you creating this strategy for yourself.
It sure was. You hit the nail on the head. When mom died in 2014, I think, Sabrina, that was the catalyst for me. I feel like I've got lots of energy, lots of ideas, and lots of things kind of bubbling all the time. And the five spheres is something that I was so excited about because it wasn't just about me, it was about helping others. And again, going back to my upbringing, that's exactly what my parents did all of their lives, is just help other people. And the five spheres to me is that one strategy that I think not only can everyone use, but it's constantly evolving with you. So you can use it forever. And as you evolve as a person, and I hope that everyone understands the positivity in evolving as a human, we're constantly going through all these micro changes, and those are good things for us. And so if we have a strategy like the five spheres to help us identify challenges and then deal with them, what a great way to grow and feel like you're organized while doing it, if that makes any sense at all.
It does, but let's talk about an example. Give me one or two examples of how you go through your five spheres.
Sure. So for me, and again, utilizing the five spheres is purely subjective. So I would want all of our users to know that what may work for me may not necessarily work for them. What that doesn't mean is you can't use the five spheres. You will utilize the five spheres and you'll consider your life within those 5 spheres, just as I would. What I'm saying is that there's the potential that the things that I may start to do or not do, as the case may be, are totally subjective to my, I guess, what I'm willing to accept, what I'm not willing to accept. And so my journey, if you will take maybe some different roads. And the beauty of the 5 spheres is it's going to show me those roads and bridges that are available to me, but not suggest that I have to go this way or do this or what have you. And that'll be the same for everyone. So for an example, the best example I actually like to use is you. And I say
Oh,
that because you have had this really phenomenal career that has always been this sort of path of like success, success, success. And then now with the 5 spheres, I know this has been a whirlwind change for you because you've now gone from being, even though you're an entrepreneur, going from this very structured environment to learning how to now start a business and get people involved because it is a startup. And so when I think about from your perspective, so you've done all these things, you've got a daughter, you've got a household, you have a husband, you've got friends, you've got financial concerns and considerations. So I think about for you, how you're organizing your life. You're leaving a profession, so you've got the financial considerations of, okay, there's no more salary. And as we know, there are no more medical benefits. So
mhm.
you have to prepare for that. You have to consider all of those things. Socially, now that you've got a startup, you're really focused on obviously building this business as the president of it. So where does that leave time for not only Naima and myself, but also your relationships outside of the house, your other family relationships, your mom and dad living here in San Antonio as well. So all of those things factoring in. Additionally, like what types of things did you have to go out and learn or are still learning about to make sure that this startup is the best that it can be? So organizing with utilizing the 5 spheres, someone like yourself is able to then take all of these considerations, compartmentalize them, and then consider them for the long term so that you can come up with a plan to organize, evaluate, and then problem solve any of the concerns that you're having in those areas, if that makes sense. And I think it does. I think you've found success in that because it has been a lifestyle strategy that's where or
It
has it?
actually, the strategy helped me a lot through this transition of changing my career path because just like you said, when I decided to do that, I can chart out and I can visualize my financial sphere, my educational sphere, my physical sphere, my mental and my social. And I could see how this changing career path is actually impacting each of those spheres. And then I can tackle each one at a time.
Yep.
And so it's exactly living the 5 spheres. Another example I like to bring up because it's such a common one is our physical sphere. And that's the one that we've talked about for so many years.
Yeah.
People, as you get older, you're slowing down, or your family, grows, so you don't have time to work out. So you're gaining weight. And then people don't realize how that impacts the rest of your spheres. It may impact your mental sphere. Like, I've gained weight, so my clothes don't fit right. And then I don't feel like going out because I've gained so much weight and I don't know what to wear. So that affects my social sphere. That's a very common one. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, thank you for providing that example and using me as an example. I appreciate that. I'm
It's a
happy.
great example.
It is, and I'm happy to be vulnerable when it comes to this. So,
Mhm.
I wanted to ask you, when it comes to the 5 spheres, what do you think is our target audience?
That's a great question, and it's a simple answer. And the answer to that is the target audience is everyone. And I say that confidently and assuredly because the 5 spheres is that constantly evolving lifestyle strategy. We read and see on social media, maybe hear from others, lots of different alternatives, I guess you'd say, for like organizing life. And they all seem to sort of touch on maybe one sphere or maybe 2 spheres, maybe even 3 spheres. But I've never seen anyone sort of tie it all together. And what's so important about that is when you tie that all together, really what you're saying is anyone having any concern in any of these 5 spheres, you're our audience. because it's not just that you're maybe trying to figure out how you can go back to college or go to college in the first place. You have all these other concerns. How will I pay for it? How will my circumstances socially impact that? So even if you're just think you're dealing with one concern, as you brought up, the physical sphere, we see that all the time, right? We're a society that is constantly concerned with how we physically look. And I understand it. I get that. I'm not poo-pooing on that at all. But when we get so tied into just that one sphere, the balance that we can create by considering all five spheres really doesn't start. And in fact, it becomes detrimental to those other four spheres. So if you're just simply focused on one sphere, you're not really getting the benefits of a holistic response to whatever your issue is, right? So you already said physically you focus on that, and maybe you get down, so now mentally you're impacted, and then you're not going to see friends. All of the things that you've already said, they're so true, and that is precisely why I think the five spheres is such a great strategy, and why our target audience is truly everyone. Now, if I were to say, wow, who could really use this? Well, obviously, young people who are getting their lives started, young adults, people who graduated college, who may not have a strategy in place. This is that great start. And then literally you carry this till forever.
I was also going to say to you that I think the young people getting their lives started, the Gen Zers, the younger millennials might be more open to this. Now our generation, the Gen X generation, we're kind of set in our ways. We've done things for, several
We know
decades
everything,
now.
right?
Yeah, we're parents, we know what we're doing. So I do think, I do believe this is for everyone. I, however, think the younger generations will be more open to it. And I hope I'm wrong. I hope every generation is, because, I think this can only help, not hurt anyone.
Absolutely. And there's a vulnerability there, Sabrina. And I think you sort of touch on that. And I think as thoughtful individuals, we always want to ask ourselves, how can I be better? We're not competing with each other. We're competing with ourselves from that prior day. And I sincerely mean that. Like, I'm not concerned about, what someone else is doing in their career. I'm excited for them, perhaps sharing in their triumphs, and certainly try to be there when they're having a tough time. But really, for me, when I think about my five spheres, everything is subjective to what I want to achieve, and also what I believe that I'm capable of. And I'm in constant in search mode, if you will, to try to find, well, how can I be better? Like, how can I make more friends? How can I inspire more people? Or how can I educate myself in areas that I don't know? That's a huge thing, to be constantly growing and progressing. That's a
And
thing.
you say to keep getting better. For me, it's how do I remain happy, and how do I wake up happy every day? So exactly, you said the five spheres is subjective. You put in what you want to get out of it. And so for me, it's how do I wake up happy every day? How do I go to bed happy every day? And how am I the best version of myself for my family?
Sort of one of our lines, as you know, Sabrina, if life is a journey, where is the roadmap? And I believe that the five spheres is that roadmap.
Great. Well, thank you for explaining all that. I think that was wonderful. And I look forward to sharing examples for people listening and watching in each of our spheres. And these are everyday examples that people can learn how to organize, problem solve, and evaluate.
Evaluate.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care, sir.